G'day fellas, welcome to a casted game between the Viper, who spawns in on the west of the map, and he's playing the English. His opponent, who spawns in over on the opposite side of the map, over in the east, it's Hagrid, and he is going to be playing the French. This is a classic matchup, English versus the French, and in my opinion, I would say it's definitely more favored towards the French player, and part of the reason why is because English, they're going to be opening up with that council hall, so they're probably going to be making longbows. French, they're going to be opening up with that school of cavalry, probably going to be making cavalry. And as a result, it means that cavalry typically is going to be countering the archers. So on this episode of Viper Watch, let's take a little look at the map that we are on today. So it looks like we're playing on, I think it's Ancient Spires. Yeah, so Ancient Spires, so you can see these spires around here on the map. Nice to wall up, but also in addition to that, there are these ponds out here. There's a couple of cheeky little strats that you can do here, but ideally, you want to be expanding to these ponds. And can we just talk for a second about these ponds and the way they've spawned for one particular player? Because right now, Hagrid's got no ponds near him at all. He has got literally no ponds whatsoever. This is his closest pond, okay? And yet Viper has got this pond, which is like quite literally just here. He's got this pond up here, and then he's got this pond back up here, and then he's got this pond right here as well. So Viper is definitely in a good mood today. Plenty of ponds, plenty of fish. Now keep in mind, when you are playing this map, it is imperative that you expand to the water. Imperative. When I say imperative, I mean you must. So ideally, you want to be thinking about a civilization that's good at booming on the water, but not necessarily at fighting on the water, because when it comes to fighting on the water, typically you're not going to be fighting that much on the water on a map like this, because you're going to be happy with even one pond. It's going to be enough to keep you up with your enemy. The difference between having control of one pond and having control of two ponds, it's not a lot. It's really not a lot. So as long as you've got that one dock, you're going to be a happy chap. So civilizations like the Abbasid are very strong on this map because you're allowed to build docks for a much cheaper price. French are also quite decent because if you do actually get into a battle on the pond, you're going to have those hulks that you can fight with. When it comes to the English are also quite good, just typically because this is a more defensive map. If we take a look at Viper's base, you can see just how easy and effective it's going to be for him to start walling up. Really create a lot of walls throughout these choke points. You can see he's just got all of these spires here. So a defensive civilization like the English is going to be great, and Viper already opening up with a men-at-arms play. I love this from him. He actually spots out the barracks from his enemy and will undoubtedly know that there's going to be a dock down there. Viper definitely scouting that one out, but the men-at-arms is going to be coming out and looking to do a little bit of damage out in the early game. Viper, you can see below his TC, he's got all those sheep carcasses out there. 4 villagers going to be coming out. Probably going to be going for a hunt. Is there a hunt out here? There's not a hunt. What is he moving these villagers out for? I'm not too sure exactly what these villagers are doing, but nonetheless, we will tune in with them. Maybe potentially moving out for some shorefish. So we'll have to keep track of that. Viper just chasing down all the wolves at the moment. Really making sure that he takes them out, but this is a very curious strategy from Viper. So during the Viper Watch series, we haven't actually seen Viper go for any Dark Age rushes or drushes. So this is going to be the first drush I've ever seen from Viper. Does he think he's playing against the Rus? Why is he killing all of these wolves? He's really going to an effort to kill these. We actually see him coming out now, going to be focusing down the enemy scout. We see that he's doing a pretty decent job right here of focusing this scout down, but the scout looks like it's probably going to get away. Managing to get away with 24 HP, those villagers doing a pretty decent job, and Viper definitely going to be coming ahead with these villagers and potentially looking at building up a tower or an outpost himself. Now, ideally, on this map, I did mention that you must go for these ponds, so it's going to be very curious to see exactly how Viper's able to punish Hagrid here. For anybody unfamiliar with Hagrid, he does hail from the Age of Mythology community, a very strong player over there, so definitely going to be able to put on a show for us today. But now we see Viper looking to expand over to the pond, and at the same time, a spearman has picked up his villager, so very unfortunate timing for him. This spear has done a great job of just picking that up. Viper now looking to put down that outpost, but realizing the town center was in range, losing a villager because of it, so going to take a little bit longer. Do we see Hagrid respond here with a potential tower of his own? It doesn't look like it just yet. Viper now going to begin sieging up that mining camp as well and really putting Hagrid in the corner here. We'll take a look over from Hagrid's perspective and see how he's doing. Keep in mind, he's going to be having all of his food in from this source. He's able to expand back down here to the rear. And this is part of the reason why, in my opinion, Dark Age rushes really aren't that strong in Age of Empires 4. just simply because it's very easy to expand out when you're playing civilizations like the French, primarily because their lumber camps, their mining camps, their mills, they're all much cheaper, 25 wood. So to go and drop this down, it's really no biggie for him. So not a concern at all. He's going to be easily able to get up to the next stage. School of Cavalry probably in a little bit of a bad spot, I would say. Just primarily because if Viper comes in and drops a tower right here, Town Center's not going to be able to hit it, and he's going to be able to get these villagers off it and force them out. Managing... Oh, that's a house. That's a house. Viper does spot this, so there is the potential that he could come in here. I'm curious to see whether he's going to actually realize and know that he can come in and push this off. If Viper had brought these villagers down... Actually, that's not a house. I do apologize. That is an outpost going up. I was wondering why it was taking so long. It's definitely an outpost, though. Viper now has that outpost up. Going to be looking at pushing in. Typically, with outposts, what you do see is that players will daisy chain them, so get them in and around closer and closer to the enemy's town center. But now villagers down to the south of the map. Going to be in a little bit of trouble for Hagrid. Hagrid begins walking away. It looks like a quick walk going to be going down for Viper, but it was cancelled at the last minute. Viper's doing a little bit of a stutter step. Continuing to move back. I think he's realized that he's going to quick wall down here. A very nice quick wall from Viper, and Viper bringing the quick walls to Age of Empires 4. He manages to get down all of them. The men-at-arms now going to continue to harass these villagers. The villagers attacking the enemy villagers and managing to walk away. Viper really bringing on the show for us right here. Behind this, Viper has continued to expand out towards the water. We can see he does have his dock down. He's going to continue to harass villagers. Picking up a couple of villagers as he walks away, but I think the majority of these guys managed to get out. Very low HP, so probably going to look to pick these up a little bit later, but Hagrid now reaching that second age finally at about 6 minutes 50, and Viper in a bit of a difficult spot here because his enemy has aged up, and undoubtedly there's going to be big, bad Royal Knights on the way very shortly. Those villagers looking to collect that gold, and Viper really doing a great job of isolating that gold. We take a look at the mini-map and just see how many more gold mines there are out on the map, and Viper's got control of this one, he's got control of that one, and of course he's got control of the main gold in the base. So the next question is for Hagrid, where do you go if you're thinking about expanding for gold? And realistically, you've got options down here. That's pretty much it. That's your best bet. So it leaves a very difficult decision for him, rather, and quite a bitter taste in his mouth because he needs gold badly. Against men-at-arms, archers aren't going to work. Horsemen, they're probably going to work pretty effectively, but ideally you want to have these big units, and that's exactly what we see now. More Royal Knights coming out. Actually, plenty of Royal Knights. There's going to be 4 coming out, which should be more than enough to clear these outposts. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can go about clearing outposts, depending on how much your enemy is going to be committing to them. So you can see this outpost has actually got 0 out of 5 in it, so not really going to be a threat, but just villagers alone are going to be more than enough to deal with it. Viper now going to be looking to get these men-at-arms inside this tower. Potentially... Oh, taking out the first villager, getting a nice big swing in there. Got to be careful of going under the town center. He has reached the second age, 8 minutes and 18 seconds. We'll take a look over at his base and see he does indeed have the council hall up. Going to begin transitioning archers over now, and you can see this outpost is going to be going down despite having so few units here. He is able to siege it down, and Hagrid's defense maintains. Hagrid beginning to pull up in score as well, about 250 points in score, and these men-at-arms are going to go down, looking to potentially pick up a villager here. Hagrid is on the move, though, realizing, and you can see just how quickly the Knights are now getting in on top of them, and Viper's going to have to walk away with his tail between his legs because Hagrid is held, and not only is Hagrid held, but he has got deep-sea fish. So we take a look at this pond. There's 9 fishing boats out here for Hagrid. Let's compare that over to Viper's side. I'm pretty curious to see exactly how many Viper's got out here. He's only got 3. So if we do a stock take at this point, Viper is sitting on 29 villagers, which you might think is pretty decent for the Viper. But his enemy is on 43, 13, 14 difference now. And that is primarily contributed to A, France's bonus, that it builds villagers faster. B, that Viper didn't actually manage to get any villager kills despite doing a nice quick wall down here to the south. And C, we've got this big boat expansion down here in this south pond. So despite getting a pretty poor map, it looks like Hagrid's actually done a pretty decent job of getting on top of Viper and really grabbing the upper leg, I'm not sure, but he's got the upper hand. That's the word. I couldn't quite think of the limb that you have the upper of your enemy, but it's the upper hand. I can inform you guys that it is the upper hand. So we'll take a look over at Viper's base. We'll see exactly what he's up to. His outpost goes down. He's got this wall down here to the south, but other than that, he's going to continue just to have just a handful of fishing boats. Really nothing too crazy, but ideally he wants to be you want to really saturate this pond out. ideally you want a single fishing boat for every single shore fish in here. So if there's 10 shore fish, make 10 fishing boats. If there's 2 shore fish, 2 fishing boats. I mean, you could probably pump up those numbers if you really wanted, but Viper now going to be pushing out plenty of spears as well as plenty of bows. But my main concern here is that there is a lot of Royal Knights. We did see that there were 4 Royal Knights the last time. There's now 5 and a 6th one going to be coming in. Viper in a bit of a difficult spot here. Villager's going to be heading towards that town center. First villager going to be going down. Drops the berries as she walks on in. And unfortunately, she's the only one to go down. So Hagrid still in a pretty good position right now. Up about 300 score at the moment. And definitely in a commanding lead. Viper continuing to push out. And I'm curious what he's aiming to achieve with this force. Because realistically, we know that his enemy is going to be on gold. You can see he is on gold quite heavily. And yes, you're going to be able to isolate that and force them off gold. Maybe even pick up a villager kill or 2. Villagers now going to be pushing back. Only 50 HP on these, but the fact that the Royal Knights were in there meant that no villagers actually died. So Hagrid's still yet to lose a villager. At the same time, back in Viper's base, we've got a bit of a raid coming in. If these connect, they will kill. First villager almost going down, but not managing to do it. A knight actually going to be going down. Town center just firing off so many arrows, and at the same time, Viper now pushing in underneath the stable. Probably going to look for a bit of a siege here, but keep in mind, he's got the town center here to contest with. He cannot get too close. So ideally, what I'd love to see out of him is if he does really want to invest in this one base strategy, potentially thinking about a ram. And having a ram underneath the town center is going to make it take all of the fire, and it's really going to allow your units and be able to leverage the range bonus that you've got. Viper now got to wake up. His men or his pikes are just standing there. Spear's just standing there. At the same time on the back line, Villager's going to be going down. 1 down, 2 down, 3 down for Viper. 4th one probably going to get chased down as well. And at the same time on the front line, Viper putting damage or putting a little bit of aggression on the front. We did see a villager on that gold mine going down. More villagers now. Do they get picked off? Viper doesn't aim for the villager, instead aiming for the Royal Knight. Appreciating that he does have that healing tooltip above it. You can see that heal right there. So after 15 seconds, he's going to be eventually healing up to full HP. It's going to take some time for him to do that though, but the cooldown is 15 seconds. Viper with his spearmen just sitting on stand ground. You can see them just not moving, refusing to move. And Viper doing a great job of just really coming in, applying pressure like this despite having low unit numbers, really just putting aggressive pressure on his enemy. Spears coming to defend. And now the Knights coming in to clean up. Viper looking like he might be in a bit of a difficult position here. These spears are going to have a difficult time. You see that spear just continuing to sit there. I think Viper probably doesn't realize that he's got his spears on stand ground, but longbows are going to be managing to get away. 5 longbows looking to get away, but Hagrid's lead continues to build up with this one. Has got a wall that he is planning on putting down. Actually, a couple of segments of walls that he's got planning to put down at this point. But these longbows are not destined for this world, my friend. They are going to be going out very, very shortly. We'll take a look at how Viper's boom's coming along. Only 4 fishing boats. Compare that down to Hagrid now, who's sitting up on 10. So that's about the reasonable numbers that you would expect in a pond like this. He does have deep sea fish, which is what he wants to be definitely, aiming for when it comes to the early game. But at the same time, he is saturating these other fish as well, because he does appreciate that deep sea fish isn't going to last forever. It's going to regenerate, but it does take time to come back. All the Royal Knights going to continue to heal up. This is part of the reason why France is so damn strong at the moment. This chivalry upgrade going to be continuing to heal up the horses when they're not in combat. You can just see how much they're healing up over time. 118, 119, 120. So when these guys are out of combat for 3 minutes, they go to full HP, no matter how much health they had. So pretty nice job. Viper going to be losing another villager there, going down, taking a couple shots from the town center. The English town center does repel those knights out. We do have +1 defense, +1 pierce armor for Hagrid, and Hagrid definitely looks to be thinking a little bit about aging up at this point. He's got 1,200 or 1,300 almost food, so definitely has the upper hand. He's keeping his enemy in the base, and with that, it's going to mean that he's more than capable of aging up. You can see that really for Viper, he's in a difficult spot. Now the spears again are just sitting in this weird thing where they don't move. So unfortunately, completely outnumbered. Going to be able to take down another villager, and 5 villagers managing to make it inside that outpost. And we hear that town bell just getting absolutely rung the hell out of. And Viper now just going to be able to sit back, chill out for a little bit. We do probably see these longbows push up, but you can see the score lead now for Hagrid is continuing to build up, sitting at about a 700 score lead. We'll take a look back over with him and see how he's coming along with that gold gathering. He's got more villagers down here to the south. Doesn't have that gold upgrade just yet, but now looking for a bit more of a pick-off. Not going to find it. and French doing very well. And part of the reason why the French are so strong is just because of this. So let's talk a little bit about why the French are so strong. So they've got access to the Knight in the second age. Only the Rus have also got access to it, so there's only 2 civs that have it. In addition to that, they're able to raid. When they are raiding, the reason why their raids are so strong with these Knights is because they run in with their lance. Their lance hits a villager, it breaks, and if you have 2 lances hitting a villager, it will one-shot that villager. And then, if you take any damage from the town center or the outpost or any villages or any archers that are under, or maybe a spear or anything like that, you manage to get out, well, good news, ladies and gentlemen, you're just going to heal it all up because you've got the chivalry upgrade, which is going to continue to see you healing up as long as you're not in combat. Now, all of these have entered combat. They're going to be sieging down this dock very quickly. You see just how much HP it's going to be losing, doing 13 torch damage, a hit from these guys. So there's plenty of knights in here. 16 knights going to be throwing this out, but you can see now that Hagrid is really starting to build up this this economic lead here. 800 points now up for him, and Hagrid definitely in a commanding lead at this point. That dock is going to get burned down. He's going to need a villager out here to repair it. Fishing boats can no longer repair buildings, so it's going to mean that that is going to need to go down. Viper also looking to expand out to this pond as well. Hagrid has found it, and that undoubtedly is going to be going down as well, because there's no way these longbows are going to be able to get over here in time. And I think Viper realizes that, falling back now, and that dock does go down, so he's going to need to put a replacement dock out there, and that's quite expensive. Viper now going to be heading up to the next age, dropping down the King's Palace, which is the correct landmark. This landmark is the correct decision in 99.9% of your games. There is only one time that this landmark is probably a good landmark to make, and that's if you're getting pushed in, and you've got the resources to age up, and you're like, all right, I need to drop something in a jiffy. You drop that one. That's when you drop it. But for 99% of the time, it's almost always going to be the King's Palace, enabling you to tech up to the next age and enabling you to boom at the same time. Second town center also coming down for Hagrid at this point, sitting up on 67 villages and fishing boats at the moment. Compare that to Viper, who's on 50, and despite having a small, I mean, it's a reasonable sized economic lead, we do see that Hagrid is significantly up in score, and I'd largely attribute that to these knights that he has. They're quite significant. As well as all that stocked up food that he had before. So Viper's got to be careful. He can't really leave the safety of his base. Ideally, he wants to stay underneath these town centers, underneath these outposts, so that he can get this buff here, the Network of Castles buff. It's going to be increasing the attack speed of all of his units. And these knights can actually clean this up completely. He is backing out, which is the correct choice, but very easily, he could kill this entire army and very easily finish Viper. But nonetheless, Viper is going to need a lot more spears when it comes to dealing with these Royal Knights. So I would ideally like to see Viper beginning to go into going to crossbows as well as spears. Against an English or against a French player, you're almost guaranteed that they're going to be getting out these Royal Knights. And so the best way to deal with them is going to be those spears as well as those crossbows, and really keep them on different control groups so that you can have them focusing down different things. These longbows, they're going to be looking for enemy archers. The spears are going to be looking for the cavalry, and the crossbows are going to be looking for the cavalry as well. Hagrid now reaching the next age as well. We'll take a look over at his landmarks and see exactly what he's gone up with. Looks like he's actually gone up with the Royal Institute. So for anybody unfamiliar with the Royal Institute, this is a unique landmark to the French, as all landmarks are unique. And what's so cool about this landmark is it offers you all the unique techs that the French get, and it gives you a discount for them. Now, on the surface, that might seem like a pretty cool building, right? But it gets cooler than that, okay? Not only does it give you that discount, but it also ignores age requirements. So that means if you've got a unique technology, because it's only unique technologies that's available in the 4th age, then you can actually get access to it in the 3rd age. And that's really what makes this landmark quite strong. There's a couple of really, really cool technologies that you can get. Now, most of you guys will be familiar. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Knights coming in right now, picking up a couple of villages, but going to be able to sort of get repelled. One knight going to be going down there for Hagrid. He's quite happy getting that veteran Royal Knight upgrade as well. A couple more villages up towards the north. Got to be careful here, Viper. And now going to be heading up towards... He's got to be careful. Viper has gone for quick walls before. He could come in for another quick wall. We see that spear upgrade coming through again. He's got to be so careful. These spears are just on... They're just standing still. And Viper doing a great job of keeping these in a corner. If there's a quick wall that goes down here, Viper could definitely place a quick wall down here if he wanted to, and force these villagers, or force these knights to come into a potential death ball or death zone. But it looks like Hagrid's probably going to manage to get away. Now let's talk a little bit more about that Royal Institute. We were talking about it before. So all of your unique techs are going to be in this building for the French. Now, one of the things to note, okay, every civilization has got access to a technology called, what's it called? I can't remember the actual name of it. It's a 30%, or I think it's a large percentage. I'll go with, it's a safe percent. A large percent buff to cavalry HP. And that buff for the French is actually unique. And the reason why is because it gives an extra 5%. So it's, for the French, it's known as royal bloodlines, but for everybody else, it's known as biology. Got to be careful here, Hagrid. And so this upgrade is available in the 3rd age, which means that you can get this Imperial upgrade, which is stronger than every other Civ, and you can get it an age early. Now, obviously, you can't get fully upgraded elite Royal Knights, okay? You still don't have that elite upgrade, but you do have access to that. Now, in addition to that, you've also got another unique one, but Viper now going to be catching Hagrid's army in a beautiful spot. 1, 2, 3 going down here. Looking to... Oh, my lord, he looks like they're completely confused. He's issued out a number of commands, and they just keep running around in circles, now heading down towards this town center, and he has lost so many knights from this. We can now see Viper still managing to close the score gap, but we can see that Hagrid's actually quite significantly ahead at this point. I'm curious exactly what that's contributed to, or what that is attributed to, rather. But let's just talk a little bit more about these techs, because this building, or this landmark, is just so damn cool. And the other techs that you've got access to, so you've got crossbow stirrups, which reduces arbaletrier reload time by 25%. And in addition to that, enlistment incentives, which is a reduction in cost of your units. So already the French have got a reduction in cost of their units by 20%, I think it is, and it's going to reduce that to a 30% cost reduction. And so that's for any archery ranges and stables that are around your keep. So you can see there's a keep here. This archery range here, it's going to have cheaper archers and cheaper arbaletrier, cheaper hand cannons, and it's quite significant as well. So the the hand cannoneer is 120 of each resource, and you can see it's reduced down to 96 here. So quite significant. I think it must be 20%. Mangonel now going to be coming out as well. Nice little splits in here from Viper. Cavalry going to be coming in and managing to push them back. The spears do. You can see they've got that nice little animation in, but the Mangonel, before it died, did manage to get a shot off and force those spears back. You can see Viper really needs a heal right now. Look at how low his units are, and then just remember that all of these knights from Hagrid, they're just going to heal back up. So that's really something that makes the French so incredibly strong, because these units are not going to get healed unless you've got a monk out, whereas these units, they just always heal. And that's really what makes them so damn strong. More Mangonels now going to be coming out for Hagrid as well, and a really decent combination here. This is a very difficult to deal with combination here, primarily because the best way that you want to be countering Royal Knights is with infantry of some sort. Villagers going to be going down, taking a massive shot to the face. A couple of Viper's villas do go down. One of them going to be, unfortunately, laying dead in the field. You can see she's lost her way. Lost her will to live, unfortunately. But Hagrid now pulling up about 2k score at this point. Mangonel going to be coming in, and I really like this play from Hagrid. Very methodical play, I will say. Hagrid is looking incredibly strong here. Villagers going to be going down for Viper. One of them managing to get inside with 1 HP. Good thing he got that textiles upgrade. Second Mangonel now going to be coming in. We see more Mangonels coming in, and 2.3k gold right now for him built up. Springald going to be coming in looking for that counter. He manages to get double shots off, taking out a huge amount of spears and getting a lot of damage onto it. This is going to be an absolute rollover, because at this point these spears are so damn weak. I can only imagine that Viper is just going to get completely overwhelmed here. Another Mangonel shot coming on, and Villagers now going to get pulled out as well. These Mangonels are so damn strong. Castle now going to be going down, or keep rather, going to be going down, and look at all these villagers trying their best to put it up. Viper, or rather Hagrid, sitting on 100 population, or 100 villagers. Viper only on 63. Another Springald going to be coming out, taking out that Mangonel, but more Mangonels coming in once again for Hagrid, doing a great job. And Viper really doing his best to hold on here, using this keep as a defensive attraction almost. Like, hey guys, shoot the keep, don't shoot my archers. If the archers die, Viper loses the game, because his enemy's able to run rampage through his base. Viper's in a difficult spot. Mangonel pushing up now. Viper does realize that the Mangonel is coming up, so he has to sit back. Healing aura going down for Viper. That Mangonel shot going off, landing a pretty decent shot, but hitting mainly the blacksmith. Now pushing in. We can see those longbows actually doing a pretty decent job in managing to take out the Mangonel before it gets its second shot off. So doing a very decent job. This keep is going to be going down. He needs to cancel this, otherwise he's going to be losing all of his resources here. If he doesn't cancel this, I'm curious to see how much he gets back. He doesn't get any of it back. It's all gone. If he pressed the escape key, he would have got all 800 back. But not today. Not today. Viper now continuing to push back. We don't see those palings coming out just yet for the veteran longbowman. So I'm curious to see whether we're actually going to be spotting those palings coming out. Trebuchet now going to be coming out as well for Hagrid as he begins to lay siege to the landmark of Viper, the King's Palace. 10 villagers inside it, and Viper holding on for dear life at this point. Behind the scenes, though, let's take a look and see exactly what's in Hagrid's base, whether he's thinking about going up to the Imperial Age. Just a casual 4.6k gold. Why not? You know, you got that much gold. Why not? You do whatever it is that you like. Plenty of villagers out here, though. Sitting up on 103 villager population. We'll compare that over to Viper. Right now, Viper sitting on 62 population, so almost double the population or the villager population of his opponent. A very difficult spot for Viper to come back into this. And I think the question is, how can Viper possibly get into this? Or get back into this? And to be honest, I really don't think there is a way. I don't think there is any way from this point that Viper's actually able to get back into this. I think it all gets attributed down here to this pond, as well as also to the somewhat failed Dark Age Rush. I don't think the Dark Age Rush really worked that well, but I think at this point Hagrid's just too far ahead. The only real way that he could do it is if he maybe got 17 mangonels out and one-shot all of these knights, but I don't think that's going to happen. Other than that, Viper continues to lose infrastructure. We see the cavalry now potentially moving in towards the longbow. A bunch of spears coming out. Those palings actually going down in multiple directions, and Viper realizes, cancels it, falls back. Mangonels now lining up. You can see them coming in. Springalds going to be going down here as well. Getting that shot off the mangonels, getting a pretty decent shot onto those spears, which is exactly what he wants to be focusing down. If these spears are all damaged, these knights are going to have no problem with them. And keep in mind, if you're up against this many knights, you need equivalent numbers of spears times 2 just to be able to defeat them, because those spears, they do counter those knights, but they are much cheaper than his enemy. So Viper now going up to the 4th age here. Let's take a look and see if we can spot where that landmark is going down. I don't actually see that landmark going down. Where is this? We're watching the Viper, right? Where is it? That's an archery range? That's a mill. Am I? Oh, it's down here to the south. It's going up with the Berkshire Palace, which is going to act as a keep. So this is a really strong landmark for him. If he can get this out, and if he can bait the fight down here, this is definitely a potential hold for him right here. I do like this play. This is quite strong, especially if he can get a cannon on this. It's going to enable him to really prevent his opponent from pushing in at this point. But the main issue that he's going to have are these mangonels, and it's just so hard to really get in on top of these mangonels. Now Mangonel going to be coming in, launching a pretty big decent shot right there, taking out all of those longbows and just doing so much damage. Those mangonels are just so difficult to deal with. Another shot going to be coming off. Viper getting the splits going, and only a single longbow going to be going down. More archers on the back line now for Hagrid, and continuing to trade off. Viper in a very difficult spot. Score beginning to build up. We see now a 3k lead at this point. At this point, Viper does hit the Imperial Age. Needs to make sure he gets this cannon in placement as quickly as possible. That Berkshire Palace now going to be firing off at the enemy units, and Hagrid just running right underneath it. And this is exactly what Viper wants. This is perfect for him. So going to have a very difficult time dealing with the Berkshire Palace. He needs to get these upgrades, ideally the boiling oil, but actually just focusing these down. So he said, you know what, I don't even need trebuchets. I'm just going to focus this landmark down. Viper going to be losing a whole bunch of villagers as well. Not really paying attention there. Needs to pull his army up because did he step away from the computer for a moment? It looks like he potentially might have. But he thought, you know what, I've got the Berkshire Palace. I don't even need to worry. But now Viper in a very difficult spot. Hagrid also reaching the Imperial Age. Do we have those Imperial upgrades just yet? No, still veteran spearmans. Do we have them incoming? Let's take a look. There we go. There's the elite upgrade coming in now. More mangonel shots. Viper, be careful. Oh, it's a big shot on the back line. 31 longbows here for Viper, and he's caught in a bit of a bad position. Viper now running back as fast as he can. Knights coming in. Looks like we may potentially have our final battle right here. Viper really in a bit of a difficult spot. Hagrid having to fall back, actually, baiting it out a little bit. He says, you know what? Take this one. He sends off the mangonel shots. It falls down, and there's 2 archers on the ground, maybe. But now the knights are going to absolutely overrun all of these spears. There's way too many knights in here, and my fear for Viper is there's just absolutely no way that he's going to be able to counter this. But still, we see that Berkshire Palace just absolutely pumping it out, and it looks like game has been called, and it looks like it may have, in fact, been Hagrid who was the victor. Congratulations go over to him. This has been, I don't know what number, but it has been an episode of Viper Watch. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys in the next one.